Alright guys, welcome back. In this section we talk about the P0 register. This one is a special register that is holding our this object. Therefore we write a little piece of code and afterwards we analyze this code. And then we switch back to the slides and we will repeat this step. Because by explaining this in two different ways, we will learn this a lot faster. Alright, let's go. Let's switch to our Ubuntu VM and then we write our P0 register code. So therefore we go into the Android Studio. Tools, Android Studio, bin, bash studio.sh. Okay, the IDE has finished loading. Now we extend our player class with a set and get method. We start with the get method. So public int get power. We do not have a parameter and we simply just return our power value. Return this dot power. That's all. If we call this method, our power value will be returned. Alright, let's build this application. And then we are going to analyze the Smali code on this. The build process has been already finished, but I missed the window. Then I simply click into the event log. And here we can see, alright, locate, new terminal, and we decompile this application. No, not signing, APK tool D. There we go. Okay, we go into app, Smali, com, app hacking, Smali1, and here we have our player.smali file. Let's open this with the Visual Studio Code Editor. Code player.smali. I'm also choosing the highlighting for the Java code. Yes, it's not a Java code, but the highlighting match. And there we go. This is our power method. Now I get out my graphic tablet and then we will take a look into this. Okay, let's recap what we already know. We've got a method, public get power. So we write this down next here. Get power. We do not have any parameters within this method. But this method is returning an integer value. Okay, I guess that's not bad. Now we've got a local register and this one seems a little bit interesting. We can also find this over here and here. So we've got an v0 register, but we didn't have a local variable in this function, did we? Let's have a look back into this. So it does not have any local variable there. Why is there this v0 register? Let's have a look back into this code. Okay, let's have a close look into the next line, this one over here. And I'm going to clean all these dots. And this one also. So we do not know what this I get v0, p0 and this value afterwards means. We will learn about this in the next section where we have a look into Dalvik opcodes. For now I can tell you I get means, we've got this I get over here, then we've got a v0, then we've got this p0, which is, by the way, the reason for this section, our this. And what I get does it takes this value over here, so this power, and stores it into v0. And now it's clear why we've got this v0. Because if we take a look onto the right side once again, we are returning an integer value over here. But we cannot return, for example, this one. We cannot write this statement into the return value over here. Because if we take a look back into our CPU model, so here's our CPU. The pins are getting not even better. But we do not care about this one. But our CPU cannot understand this as it is this object. Our CPU needs to split up, or the assembly code needs to split up this into single instructions. And therefore it's generating a buffer for this value. And this is what v0 is over here. So our v0 is some kind of buffer that is holding or storing this value. And then it's returning this value in this register. So this one is holding our this dot power. And afterwards, the CPU doesn't have to use this statement over here because it cannot understand this one. It can simply say return v0. And this is now holding our power. Okay, so registers are not always regarding to local variables. Registers can also be some kind of placeholder for certain values or functions, return values, whatever. Okay, this is really important. If you see some locals, it doesn't always mean we've got also a local variable here, like for example, int my power or things like this. It can also mean that the compiler has created some kind of buffer in form of a register, for example v0, and this one is then holding the value for this object over here. And this register can be returned afterwards. And this is a way that the assembly code understands afterwards. So by returning back this value in this register, the code can move on that point because it understands what registers are. Okay? All right. Let me clear the screen real quick and then we take a look into this P0 object. All right, we know P0 is a special register that is holding our this object. So we can replace this one or rename this one to this. So if you see P0, you can rename this to this. Then we've got this colon, and then we've got our type definition of class, which is referenced by this capital L. What class do we have here? We have com app hacking smiley player. So our class definition ends at this sign. So we've got our player class. This is player. And then we've got this little bit strange looking arrow over here. And this arrow, you can think of this as a dot. So you can replace this as a dot and then okay, player dot power. And at the end of this, you can also see the type definition of this one, of this power level or this power variable. And this one is an integer. And to summarize this whole line, we can just make a little bit easier. So we've got our this, and then we can say dot power, and that's it. Because we do not need this reference. This is just regarding to the Smiley object that it knows what this over here, this, it's really hard to, I hope you can follow by explaining this in this way. So this needs to be referenced, or it needs to be clear to the Smiley code what type of object this is. And here we can see this one is a player object. Okay, but we do not have to use it in this way. We can simply say this and then treat this arrow as a dot. And afterwards there's this label or this variable name what's referenced. Okay, so this is the first explanation. Now let's have a look back onto these slides and explain it in a different way. And maybe if you have questions regarding to this explanation, I hope they will be answered in the next one. And if not, then of course, if you do not understand this topic right now, then please write me some messages, okay? So I'm going, insert this one into my graphic tablet and then we have a look back onto the slides. Let's switch back. Okay, here we have this method once again. We've got our local one, which is our v0 register. And we also got this p0, which is referencing to the player class. And after this arrow, we can see the player class dot power value. Why do we have this register right now? Because if we use this expression, we get this power. And if we are trying to return this statement, this is not working because we can only act on registers. We cannot act on direct objects in this way. Therefore, we are buffering the value of this object in a v0 register. And by having this value in this v0 register, we can easily return this afterwards. Therefore, we are having a local register, but we do not have a local variable regarding to this register. This one is some kind of buffer, placeholder to store this value of this power. And regarding to this power, we can separate this in this way. P0 means this object, so we translate P0 with this. And afterwards, we can simply look at the arrow. And then we can say this dot and the label after this arrow. In this case, this dot power. If we would only have this p0 power, we would not know which class we are referencing right here, because this can be also a different class, an inner class, or things like this. Therefore, the Smiley code is also appending this, that it's crystal clear that we are using this object from the player class. And yeah, it looks a little bit overwhelming at the beginning, but if we split it up in this way, it will become, easier to read. And if you do this a lot, you will get practice, and then you immediately recognize, okay, this one is an this.power reference, and it gets stored into the v0. The storage with the iGet, this is what we learn next. We will have a look into Dalvik opcodes, and then we can read our first programs where we add and subtract some values, and we can also start writing our own Smiley code. But we are not doing this for now. We will have some time regarding to this topic. Okay, we do this step by step. If you have any questions regarding to this object or this code over here, then please write me a message. And regarding to the iGet object, we will learn more about this in the next section. So I see you there.